He fed their cat. He slept in their beds. And for days, no one knew the family was already dead. When Scotland discovered what Peter Manuel had done, the nation realized evil wasn't hiding in the dark. It was living next door. In this video, we'll trace the chilling trail of Scotland's first known serial killer, a man whose intelligence, arrogance, and cold calculation made him one of the most terrifying criminals in British history. From the quiet streets of Lanarkshire to the final swing of the gallows, this is the story of Peter Manuel, the killer who thought he could outsmart justice. It's the early 1950s in Scotland. Post-war life is rebuilding. The streets are calm, the community's tight-knit, and the worst crimes most people imagine are petty theft or bar fights. But under the surface, something dark is brewing, a presence moving silently through the small towns of Lanarkshire. Peter Thomas Anthony Manuel was born in 1927 in New York to Scottish parents. The family returned to Scotland when Peter was still a child. Those who knew him described him as odd, too smart for his own good, and strangely confident. He was a boy who didn't fit in, and he didn't care to. By age 10, he was already known to police. Petty thefts, burglaries, and then, something more disturbing. He began breaking into women's homes, watching them sleep. The crimes escalated, but each time, he managed to manipulate his way out of serious punishment. His intelligence became his camouflage. By his 20s, Peter Manuel had developed a pattern. He'd stalk his victims, break into their homes, and steal, not for survival, but for power. He wanted to feel control. In 1956, that control turned deadly. The first known murder attributed to Manuel was of 17-year-old in Nylands, a bright young woman found brutally assaulted and beaten to death on the outskirts of East Kilbride. Police had a suspect in mind, but not Manuel. In fact, the case went cold, and Manuel walked free, knowing his secret was safe. Over the next 2 years, Lanarkshire would descend into fear. An entire family, the Smarts, would vanish without explanation. A young woman would be shot in her bed, and another family, the Smarts' neighbors, would find themselves next in line. What made Manuel terrifying wasn't just his violence, it was his calm. He didn't flee the scenes of his crimes. Sometimes he lingered. By 1957, Scotland Yard and local detectives were under immense pressure. The murders were spreading panic. The killers seemed to have no pattern. Young, old, male, female, families, loners, all struck with the same clinical coldness. One clue, however, began to unravel the illusion. After the murder of the Smart family, Peter, his wife Doris, and their 10-year-old son, police discovered something strange. Someone had been living in their house for days after their deaths. Neighbors reported lights flickering on and off. A curtain slightly moved. Inside, police found used dishes, cigarette butts, and, perhaps most chillingly, the family cat, perfectly fed and calm. It was as if the killer had made himself at home. And in a way, he had. What finally caught Manuel wasn't his brutality, but his arrogance. He used the Smart family's stolen banknotes to buy drinks and petrol, and those notes were traceable. When police found the bills in his possession, the calm mask began to crack. Peter Manuel was arrested in 1958, but what shocked everyone wasn't the evidence. It was him. He refused a lawyer. He represented himself in court. Like America's Ted Bundy years later, Manuel treated the trial like a performance. He cross-examined witnesses, challenged detectives, even mocked the prosecution. Newspapers called him the Beast of Birkenshaw, a nickname that stuck. But beneath his smirk, something chilling played out. Manuel wasn't trying to win his freedom. He was trying to prove his superiority. He wanted the world to see that even as a condemned man, he was still in control. In the final days of the trial, Manuel shocked the court again. He confessed, not out of remorse, but pride. He boasted about his intelligence, his manipulation, his ability to walk unnoticed among ordinary people. The jury took only an hour and a half to find him guilty of 7 murders. As the sentence was read, death by hanging, Peter Manuel reportedly smiled. On July 11, 1958, at Barlinnie Prison in Glasgow, the executioner pulled the lever. The Beast of Birkenshaw was gone, and with him, one of Scotland's darkest chapters closed, but not without leaving scars. Peter Manuel was among the last prisoners ever executed in Scotland. His crimes forced the nation to confront a terrifying truth. Monsters aren't always strangers hiding in shadows. Sometimes, they're the people who smile back at you. To this day, his story remains a grim symbol of unchecked arrogance and cold intellect. And perhaps the most haunting detail of all, that lonely cat, sitting by the window of an empty home, waiting for a family that would never return. Evil wears many faces, but one question remains. Was Peter Manuel born a monster, or did society help make him one? If you found this story as chilling and disturbing as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another deep dive into the darkest corners of human nature. Now tell me in the comments, was Peter Manuel a calculated genius who knew exactly what he was doing, or just a twisted soul born without conscience?